That was a super weird dream. I'm gonna call Amber and tell her about it.
Hey Morgan,
Hey Amber, I had the weirdest dream last night.
what was it about?
It almost felt real. I dreamed that there was this virus called COVID-19 that caused a global pandemic and forced everybody to stay at home for weeks. I wonder if I had such a crazy dream because I was up late last night reading Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. After all, in this play, the main characters all have a pretty crazy dream. Although, main characters only think that they're dreaming and all those crazy things actually happened. Wait, was I not dreaming? And is there actually a global pandemic that's disrupting our senior year and forcing us to do the Shakespeare project by ourselves?
Yeah.
I wonder if Shakespeare lived through any pandemics like this one. In all my research, I didn't find anything about it.
I don't think there were any major pandemics in England during Shakespeare's time. Smallpox was a big problem around the world, though, especially in North America.
Do you want to hear all the information I've gathered for my project?
Sure.
Not a ton of factual information is known about Shakespeare's life, but most of what is known comes from official documents. Shakespeare was baptized on April 26, 1564 in the Holy Trinity Church in Stratford-upon-Avon in England. However, his birthday is widely recognized as April 23rd. His father, John Shakespeare, dabbled in many professions, which resulted in wealth fluctuations, and also filled various municipal roles in the community of Stratford-upon-Avon, where Shakespeare attended grammar school. Shakespeare's mother, Mary Arden, came from a wealthy family and was an heiress to some land. William was the third child of 8, and 3 of his siblings died during childhood. At the age of 18, Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway, who was 8 years older than him and already 2 months pregnant with their first child, Susanna. 3 years later, their twins Hamnet and Judith were born, but Hamnet died at age 11. The 7 years following Hamnet's death are referred to as his lost years, and it's unclear how Shakespeare got his start in theater, but starting in 1594 he was a member of Lord Chamberlain's Men, which was renamed the King's Men. His company built its own theater called the Globe, which had 20 sides and was finished in 1599, but burned down in 1613 and had to be rebuilt. Shakespeare died on his birthday on April 23, 1616, from unknown causes at age 52, which is pretty impressive considering the average lifespan was 30. Shakespeare wrote 37 plays and many more sonnets and other poems, but none of the original manuscripts of his plays remain. Some things that he is known for include the use of iambic pentameter and soliloquies, and Shakespeare is thought to have influenced the English language more than any other writer in history.
That's all really cool. What play are you doing again?
I'm doing A Midsummer Night's Dream, which is a comedy and has long been one of Shakespeare's most popular plays. It is believed to have been written in the winter of 1595 because of a reference in Act 1, Scene 2 to the fear of a strange lion, which was possibly referring to an incident in Scotland in 1594. It also shares the same poetic style as his other plays written in the mid-1590s. It wasn't published until 1600, and the first performance of it was on January 1st, 1605. It has now been performed thousands of times. It has also been turned into an opera, and there have been 5 movie adaptations. Unlike most of Shakespeare's plays, the inspiration for A Midsummer Night's Dream cannot be traced to any specific source material. However, Pyramus and Thisbe, which is performed as a play within a play, came from Ovid's Metamorphoses. See ya! I gotta go now because I'll be performing Act 3, Scene 2 of A Midsummer Night's Dream. But before I start acting, I should probably brush up on the plot leading up to Act 3, Scene 2 and all of the characters since there are so many of them. The play starts with Theseus, the Duke of Athens, preparing to marry Hippolyta, the Queen of the Amazons. To celebrate this, 5 craftsmen, including Nick Bottom, who is pompous and arrogant, are planning to put on a performance of Pyramus and Thisbe. Aegeus is an Athenian nobleman who enters Theseus's court with his daughter Hermia and her 2 suitors, Lysander and Demetrius. Aegeus wants Hermia to marry Demetrius, but she refuses because she loves Lysander. Theseus gives Hermia until his wedding day to decide if she wants to marry Demetrius as her father wants or to join a convent. To complicate things, Helena, Hermia's best friend, is in love with Demetrius. Hermia and Lysander plan to escape Athens together, but in an attempt to win back Demetrius's love, Helena tells him about the plan and follows Demetrius, who followed Hermia and Lysander into the woods. In the same woods are the king of the fairies, Oberon, and his queen, Titania. These 2 are fighting about an Indian prince given to Titania by his mother. Oberon wants possession of the boy, but Titania wants to raise him herself. To punish Titania for disobeying him, Oberon sends his mischievous servant Puck to find a magical flower and drop its juice on Titania's eyelids as she sleeps. This will result in Titania falling in love with the first person or creature that she sees upon waking. The woods are a pretty busy place because the craftsmen are also there practicing their play. Bottom is the first person that Titania sees when she wakes up, so she falls madly in love with him. However, Puck has turned Bottom's head into that of a donkey. After watching Demetrius and Helena in the woods, Oberon also orders Puck to put some juice on the young Athenian man's eyelids so that he will fall in love with Helena. Puck finds Lysander and Hermia first and believes that Lysander is the young Athenian man that Oberon was talking about. That night, when Hermia and Lysander go to sleep, Puck puts the juice on Lysander's eyelids. When Lysander wakes up, the first person that he sees is Helena, causing him to fall in love with her and abandon Hermia. This is where Act 3, Scene 2 picks up.
I wonder if Titania be awaked. Then, what it was next that came in her eye which she must dote on in extremity. Here comes my messenger. How now, mad spirit, what night rule now about this haunted grove? My mistress with a monster is in love. A crew of patches, rude mechanicals that work for bread upon the Athenian stalls, were met together to rehearse a play intended for great Theseus' nuptial day. The shallow, thick skin of that barren sort, who Pyramus presented in their sport, an ass's knoll I fixed on his head, so at his sight away his fellows fly. I led them on in this distracted fear, and left sweet Pyramus translated there, when in that moment so it came to pass, Titania waked, and straightway loved an ass. This turns out better than I could devise, but hast thou yet latched the Athenian's eyes with the love juice as I bid thee do? I took him sleeping, that is finished too, and the Athenian woman by his side, that, when he waked, of force she might be eyed. This is the woman, but not this the man. If thou hast slain Lysander in his sleep, being o'er his shoes and blood, plunge in the deep, and kill me too. The sun was not so true unto the day as he to me. Would he have stolen away from sleeping Hermia? It cannot be, but thou hast murdered him. You spend your passions on a misprized mood. I am not guilty of Lysander's blood, nor is he dead for aught that I can tell. From thy hated presence part I so, see no more of me whether he be dead or no. There is no following her in this fierce vein. Here, therefore, for a while I will remain. What hast thou done? Thou hast mistaken quite, and laid the love juice on some true love's sight. Of thy misprison must perforce ensue some true love turned false, not a false turned true. Then fate o'errules that one man holding troth, a million fail, confounding oath on oath. About the wood go swifter than the wind, and Helen of Athens look thou find. By some illusion see thou bring her here, I'll charm his eye against she do appear. I go, look how I go, swifter than an arrow from the Tartar's bow.
At this point, Puck realizes that he has made Lysander fall in love with Helena and tries to correct his mistake by using the flower juice to make Demetrius fall in love with her as well. Now both Demetrius and Lysander are in love with Helena instead of Hermia, but Helena thinks they aren't really in love with her and are mocking her instead. To prevent Lysander and Demetrius from killing each other, Puck mimics their voices and leads them apart until they are lost separately in the dark woods and eventually go to sleep. Then, Puck puts juice from a second flower on Lysander's eyelids so that the effects of the first flower will be undone and he will love Hermia again. Once Oberon has easily obtained the Indian boy from Titania, he uses the second flower to return her to her original state. Puck also gets rid of Bottom's donkey head. In the morning, when the Athenians have all woken up, they just remember the events of the night as a dream, and they are found by Theseus and Hippolyta, who bring them back to Athens for a triple wedding. After the wedding comes the play within a play. They all watch Bottom and the 4 other craftsmen perform their version of Pyramus and Thisbe. When the play is complete, the fairies come back to bless the couples before disappearing. So as we saw, at the beginning of Act 3, Scene 2, Puck realizes that he has made Lysander fall in love with Helena, and while attempting to rectify his mistake, he ends up causing more problems. This leads into why Act 3, Scene 2 of A Midsummer Night's Dream is so important, because it is when the confusion caused by Oberon and Puck's involvement is the most heightened. This is where the comedy is the silliest and most ridiculous, and where the characters are at their most extreme. There is no real climax in the play, but this scene is where the plot is the most chaotic and intense. The problems that culminate in Act 2, Scene 3 quickly start to resolve themselves with the beginning of Act 4, when the falling action begins and the juice from the second flower is used to bring Titania and Lysander back to their original states. Two important themes in the play are love and marriage. Shakespeare makes a point of how people tend to fall in love with those who appear beautiful to them, and how people that we think we love at one time can later seem unattractive or even repellent. The difference between dream and reality is also an important theme, because in the play, things are not always what they seem, and the line between dream and reality is blurred. This is added to by the fact that characters frequently sleep and wake from dreams, as well as most of the play taking place at night. The ambiguity and lack of a definitive plot structure also add to the dreamlike quality of the play. Shakespeare also touches upon the reality of theater by having a play within a play. Order and balance is another theme present in the play and is evidenced by the asymmetrical love of the young Athenians, the threat to the social order when Hermia wants to marry against her father's wishes, and the disruptions of the seasons caused by Titania and Oberon's fight. Dr. Harold Bloom, a literary critic and professor at Yale, calls it Shakespeare's first undoubted masterwork without flaw, and one of his dozen or so plays of overwhelming originality and power. Bloom has also called it a fugue with 4 parts and commends Shakespeare for his ability to weave together a complex web of stories, simultaneously increasing the confusion and the hilarity. A Midsummer Night's Dream is considered by many to be one of Shakespeare's best comedies, if not one of his best plays overall, and personally, I agree. While the play involves love, it's not a love story, and the audience is distanced from the characters' emotions. This, along with the light tone, allows viewers to enjoy the play rather than be caught up in the intense struggles like in Romeo and Juliet or Macbeth. It is also incredibly easy and enjoyable to read, although the preponderance of characters can get a little confusing. Not only is A Midsummer Night's Dream one of Shakespeare's most beloved plays, it is also his most frequently performed one, and it's not hard to see why. I'm kind of tired. I think I might go back to bed.